Hello everyone, a very pleasant day to you. President Tinubu vows not to sign Central Gaming Bill, insists it is state's matter. Chairman, Presidential Fiscal Policy, Tax Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, clarifies controversy over alleged discrepancies in tax laws. And Defense Headquarters announces proactive measures to prevent attack during Christmas festivities across Nigeria. A very good day to you and welcome to Fastness News Port Harcourt. I am Becky Usoro. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has assured that he will not assent to the Central Gaming Bill newly passed by the National Assembly. President Tinubu, who gave the assurance in Abuja during the All Progressive Congress APC National Executive Committee NEC meeting, stressed that as a constitutional Democrat, he knew where his exclusive legislative capacity started and ended. The National Assembly had on December 2 passed the Central Gaming Bill aimed at giving legal powers to the federal government to regulate lottery and gaming across the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory FCT. Displeased with the action of the federal lawmakers, the Attorney General of Lagos State, through his legal representatives, the law firm of Wole Olanipekun, wrote to the Attorney General of the Federation, AJF Prince Lateef Fagbemi, warning against signing the bill into law, as doing so would tantamount to disregard for the orders of the Supreme Court. The Apex Court had, in a judgment last year, nullified the National Lottery Act on the grounds that it fell outside the legislative powers of the federal legislators. Away from that story, the presidency has weighed in on the controversy treating the new tax laws scheduled to take effect on January 1 in the country. This comes as former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and several civil society organizations called for the suspension of the implementation of the laws. A member of the House of Representatives, Abu Samad Dasuki, recently raised concerns about what he described as discrepancies between tax laws passed by the National Assembly and the versions subsequently gazetted and made available to the public. Dasuku argued that his legislative right had been breached because the content of the gazetted tax laws did not reflect what lawmakers debated and approved on the floor of the House. Speaking on a television program this morning, the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, said what has been circulating in the media was fake. Oyedele stated that he reached out to the House of Representatives Committee regarding a particular section 41(8), which states you have to pay a deposit of 20%, and noted that the response given by the committee was that its members had not met on the issue. Moving on, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi says President Bola Tinubu is committed to a justice sector that will deliver timely outcomes to Nigerians. Attorney General of the Federation Fagbemi made this known at the launch of the Enterprise Content Management System (ECMS) by the Federal Minister of Justice in Abuja. A statement by Senior Advisor Media to the Minister, Mr. Kamarudin Ogundele, says Fagbemi explained that the ECMS is a digital platform that enables the ministry to create, process, approve, store and retrieve official documents electronically. He stressed that the launch marks the ministry's departure from the era of manual and structured information management into a digital era. The Attorney General reiterated that these frameworks are unequivocal, as justice institutions must be efficient, accountable, digital-enabled, and capable of delivering timely outcomes to Nigerians. Moving on, the federal government has announced plans to tap into Nigerians' largely informal vehicle reclining market, projecting annual revenues of over 150 billion naira from 2026 as a part of sweeping reforms to modernize the country's automotive industry. A statement by Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, Joseph Osanipin, says the initiative will be driven by a comprehensive end-of-life vehicle program already approved for implementation. Payne explained that the policy would formalize the recycling of vehicles that have reached the end of their useful lives, turning what is currently an environmental and safety burden into a major economic opportunity. According to him, Nigerian's program will follow a similar model requiring a modest fee at the point of vehicle registration to fund environmentally sound disposal and recycling, a move he acknowledged may initially face public resistance. Payne noted that Nigeria already has a thriving informal second-hand auto parts markets, commonly referred to as the Belgian parts markets, driven largely by durability and quality concerns around new parts. He said studies by the Council show that over 85% of components from end-of-life vehicles remain reusable or recyclable, creating a strong foundation for a former circular economy. Away from that story, the Senate President Akpabio has taken his fight over the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to the Supreme Court, seeking to overturn a ruling by the Court of Appeal that struck out the federal government's brief of argument in the appeal. According to the report, the Senate President's legal team is seeking the Supreme Court's intervention in what it considered a defective decision by the Appellate Court against the Senate President. The Abuja Division of the Court of Appeal had ruled that Akpabio's brief was fundamentally defective and incompetent, citing failure to comply with mandatory provisions of the Court of Appeal rules. The Appellate Court equally faulted the brief for multiple procedural violations, including unauthorized font size and line spacing exceeding the 35-page limit, and failure to seek leave to regularize the defects. Akpabio's move to the Supreme Court was sequel to the ruling of the Appeal Court that the infractions were not minor technical lapses but substantive breaches that went to the competence of the appeal. The Senate President argues that the Court of Appeal violated his constitutional rights to fair hearing by refusing to grant leave to correct the defective brief or permit him to exceed the page limit. Away from that story, the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) has read the riot acts to telecom operators in the country to step up their services or incur the wrath of the regulator. The Commission's riot acts may not be unconnected with the persistent complaints from the subscribers that the operators have been giving them epileptic telecom services since the YOTAD. The regulator has released a data-driven report it developed in partnership with OOKLA, a global leader in network intelligence and performance measurement, showing where each network stands in network performance. It cautioned telcos with performance deficits to prioritize investments in network stability, particularly in reducing jitter and latency, to meet subscribers' growing demands for quality services. Moving on, the Defense Headquarters has announced that proactive measures are in place to prevent attacks during the Christmas festivities across Nigeria. In a statement by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, said the Armed Forces of Nigeria, in collaboration with other security agencies, had intensified operations in identified vulnerable areas. Onoja added that surveillance activities, including aerial monitoring and intelligence gathering, had been heightened to track the movement and communication of suspected criminal groups. Unit commanders have been directed to strengthen patrols, establish fortified checkpoints, and maintain close collaboration with community leaders, local vigilante groups, and state security formations. He emphasized that the armed forces remain committed to protecting lives and property, with national security and stability remaining a top priority as citizens prepare to celebrate. He further conveyed Christmas and New Year greetings from the Chief of Defense Staff, General O. Oluyede, while encouraging wide dissemination of the anniversary to the public. Away from that story, the Nigerian naira maintained a narrow trading range against the United States dollar on Monday, December 22, 2025, as activity in the foreign exchange market reflected the usual year-end liquidity patterns. Data from the Nigerian Foreign Exchange Market (NFEM), an informal channel, shows that the local currency continues to battle persistent inflationary pressures despite recent interventions. At the Nigerian Foreign Exchange Market, which serves as an official window for corporate and government transactions, the Naira opened the week with a slight depreciation. According to the data from the FMDQ Securities Exchange, the Naira was quoted at a closing rate of approximately 1,466 Naira.50 kobo per dollar. This follows a volatile Friday section where the rates fluctuated between a high of 1,469.90 at a low and the low of 1,460 Naira. Market analysts suggest that the current pricing reflects a 14.45% inflation rate and the Central Bank of Nigeria's CBN current monetary policy rate of 27%, both of which continue to influence investor sentiment and dollar demand for holiday-related imports. We now move on to the foreign scene. The gunmen who allegedly carried out a deadly attack on a Jewish festival at Bonda Bay threw 4 undetonated explosives at the start of the attack, including a tennis ball bomb. In a newly released document, Naveed Akram, 24, has been charged with dozens of offenses, including 15 counts of murder over the attack at a Hanukkah celebration on 14 December. Akram, who was shot by police during the attack, was released from the hospital and transferred to a prison. The second alleged gunman, his father, Sajid Akram, was shot dead. According to the police documents, the pair recorded a video manifesto in October in which they sit in front of the Islamic State group flag. The Akrams meticulously planned this terrorist attack for many months, police alleged. Videos found on Naveed's phone show the pair were motivated by violent extremist ideology linked to the Islamic State group. Another video allegedly showed the pair conducting firearms training in what police believe to be rural New South Wales in October. The accused and his father are seen throughout the video firing shotguns and moving in a tactical manner. Moving on, a Russian general has been killed in a car bombing in Moscow. Russia's investigative committee said Lieutenant General Fanil Savarov died this morning after an explosive device planted under a car detonated. Savarov, 56, was the head of the Armed Forces Operational Training Department, the committee added. It said one theory being investigated was that the bomb was planted with the involvement of Ukrainian intelligence services, as Ukraine has not commented. Investigators have been sent to the scene in a car park near an apartment block in the south of Russia's capital. That's all on the news this hour. I am Becky Osar. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.